Hello and welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than Jared Block, who's over on my right. Jared, I'm gonna pull an Alec Ball and say it's too early and it's raining outside, and I effing hate this place. But how is your day going, man?
It's going well, dude. Like I said, the weather's turning upwards around these parts, at least for today. 60 and 70 the next 2 days, I think. So
Nice.
I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, I would be too. That's pretty awesome. I've been dealing with rain the past 2 days, and tomorrow we get the big storm that's going through the Midwest. So should be an interesting time. I'm not excited for it whatsoever. I'm excited to have sunshine and a little bit of warm weather as well. Good morning to Bacon23. Hope you're having a good day. Good morning also to Hockey Fan. Both of you on the chat. Giannis Perez says weather is finally in the 65s. Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could say the same here. I think you know. I think I've told you this before, but like right out my window of my office, which my window's right over there. There's the dog park, and we can take Holly over there pretty easily. Our pup that Megs and I have. And I looked out the window when I was going to grab my hat before we went live on this show, and literally the whole dog park is just covered in water, like this one
Yep.
huge, gigantic puddle. It looks insane. I was trying to take a picture of it. I didn't have time, but it's that's the weather that I'm dealing with today. So it should be interesting. But it is what it is. Weather is nice basically everywhere else, which is good for baseball. But we also have the NBA play-in tournament starting today, and lots of exciting stuff happening. So, Jared, anything you want to talk about? If not, let's get into the NBA and let's talk about this play-in.
No, man, let's get into it. I am very excited to talk about this first game.
Yeah, let's talk about both of these games for the play-in tournament. Obviously, the first one is Cavs versus Nets. Nets 8.5 point favorites here. Big favorites. That's kind of surprising considering we know how bad this Nets team is at home. And I don't feel like the Cavs are just that good to like, or I feel like the Cavs are better than being 8.5 point dogs. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are exactly what I said in the notification for this stream, and that is bet the car, bet the house, bet it all on the Cavs.
I like it. I can get behind it 100%.
Cavs
Uh,
spread, by the not money
yeah,
line. Cavs
yeah,
spread plus eight and
yeah.
a half.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. They played 4 games this year against each other, and the Cavs would have cashed that bet 2 out of those 4 games. So I don't know, take that for what it's worth. But it should be a very interesting game. We're going to be told a lot about this Nets team. If they're able to win, then obviously they get that matchup against the what is it against the Celtics to start out the year. If Nets win, then they get that matchup against the Celtics. Who do you think has a better chance of taking the Celtics down? Because honestly, no one does. But who has the better odds?
Between the play-in guys.
Yeah, between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, I mean the Nets, I guess, but I still think that whoever wins this gets knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
So Nets Celtics is awesome for a first series. So I'm pumped for it. We do know as of yesterday, there was a brief scare for Dragic who got put into health protocols, but he was able to test out of them. So he's
Nice.
available to play today. Seth Curry is going to play after that ankle injury that he's been nursing. And then, unfortunately, we do not get Jared Allen. And even though he
Oh,
declined surgery and was going to wait, he's not playing tonight. So
dang.
I don't see anything about Evan Mobley, which means that he's probably good to go.
Yeah.
But no Jared Allen for the Cavs.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's talk about this second playing game. Let's talk about the Clippers taking on the Timberwolves. This one's really spicy. This one's juicy. Which side are you leaning here? Because currently Timberwolves are 3 point favorites.
Yeah, I actually do think I lean the Clippers. Sorry for all the Wolves fans out there. I think that you guys got a bad roll of the dice, and I think that this Clippers team is actually I mean, they're going to lose in the first round, but I wish that they had a better matchup here because if they would have, uh, if they had Paul George back 1 week earlier, maybe this is a different story altogether, and they're not even playing in this spot. I like the Clippers actually come out here and be pretty competent against the Wolves, but this should be a really fun game. Uh, I think it's interesting that, Pat Bev's going up against his former team in an elimination spot,
Yeah.
and Norm Powell being back is also really, really scary for that Minnesota team.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think Bacon asked a good question. Does playoff PG-13 count for a play-in game? I don't know quite yet. I don't think we'll know until tonight, but I would think so.
It's a little bit different. A little bit different. It's actually going to be playing P.
Yeah, yeah, play MP. There you go. I like it. Get into it right away. This one should be interesting. I don't know. I lean with the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves win this one. I think they're still the better team overall. I think that having those three studs, as long as D'Angelo Russell's fully healthy and ready to go today, this team is pretty solid overall. So give me the Timberwolves. I'll take the other side of this one. Life Augusti, hitting them where it hurts, said Wolves have fans. I'm pretty sure we have lots of Timberwolves fans. So I'd watch your mouth a little bit, Goosey. That's a pretty dangerous thing to say around these parts. Brian says, morning, good sir. Hope you're having a good day. Let's talk about some NBA news that we've had. Lots of Lakers stuff coming out over the past few days, which has just made me want to
Yep.
not talk about NBA, but we're talking about it anyway. Russ says, not sure what Vogel's issue was with me. Maybe it was that you weren't a very good player. I don't know, Russ. But what do you think Vogel's issue is with Russell Westbrook?
Oh, I'm just this is better to just not be talked about with words and more so with videos. And uh, Chris posted a video in the Good Skill chat this morning
I saw
that
this.
is exactly this conversation.
Yeah.
So I know you probably don't want to watch it, but this is
No.
like literally the best highlight video of the entire season.
No.
Some of the compilations of Lakers moments have been incredible to watch on Twitter this year.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, so we're gonna move on. And I've already saw that video, and I was not very happy at the end of the day. Let's talk about how Alvin Gentry was let go, and now the Kings are out to find another head coach. What again is what you put? That's pretty funny. Man, this Kings team is a mess. You know, trading away Tyrese Halliburton, I feel like was the biggest mistake you could have possibly
Oh
made.
yeah.
Sabonis is not gonna. I don't know, this Kings team just absolutely destroyed any hopes that I had for them with that trade of Sabonis and Halliburton.
Not even that, but did you see the Dante DiVincenzo news?
Oh yeah, that he was that. Oh yeah, I saw this. That he was unhappy. They weren't playing him down the stretch, and they thought they were trying to kill his value in free agency.
That's right. So for those who missed it, he basically just came out and outed the team,
Yeah.
and said that his group, is not happy with the Kings at all. They believe and have evidence that the Kings specifically did not start him down the last 2 weeks of the season to limit his value in free agency because Milwaukee kind of saw the writing on the wall with this, and they decided to go with a non-expiring, like keeping the players that weren't going to have expiring contracts. And
Mm.
this is where DiVincenzo was in that group of trades at the trade deadline, and he looked pretty good, despite all things considered. With De'Aaron Fox missing down the stretch, and there was no reason to not play him, especially with all those guys out. So I'm very interested to see how that shapes up. But I think it's safe to say that DiVincenzo will not be in a Kings uniform after or anymore. I think he played his last minutes there.
Yeah, it seems like it indeed. Luka Doncic has a confirmed calf strain. He had that injury in the last game of the year. We were all kind of worried about what it was going to be. Looks like that is going to be a calf strain. Did they say how long this is going to keep him out, if at all? I assume probably not going to keep him out. He's probably going to play hobbled.
He's just gonna play through it. So I actually listened to our good friend Pro Football Doc's podcast yesterday, and
Nice.
they had the segment of this on it. And basically, what they said was he's gonna play through it. It's something that has to heal on its own. He can't have it wasn't a tear or anything, so he's going to just play through it, and it's going to be something that lingers him probably throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Like, given the fact that they can't rest him in any spot during the playoffs, I think the Mavs team is just too weak without him, and they can't afford to have him miss one game. And it's not even worth him missing one game to do so because he could just as easily strain it once again. So he's going to be dealing with it the entirety of the postseason, and more importantly, the entirety of the offense. or sorry, off season is what I meant.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Last thing for the NBA, ESPN headlines: Is the super team era over? I'm assuming this is kind of after everything that happened with the Lakers. We've seen poor play from the Brooklyn Nets as well, which is kind of a super team, and we're seeing these teams like the Grizzlies kind of thrive. These teams that have good role players all the way through, and teams like that, the Suns even kind of potentially that team. I don't think necessarily its super team is Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker. But I don't know. Should be interesting. What do you think about this headline by ESPN?
I think it's hilarious, but it just didn't. I mean, I don't think the era is necessarily over, but I do think that they went over 2 this year in the Lakers and Nets. I mean, the Nets are still in it, right? So we can't say it just yet, but the James Harden thing did not work. So is the Nets team an actual super team? I would tend to disagree with that title. So I'm not sure who else necessarily qualifies. They never talk about Milwaukee. They just say it's a big three, but what's the difference between a big three and a super team?
No clue. I wish I could tell you. I have absolutely no clue. By the way, thank you for the first time chat from Miss Queen Roto M. But they say, if I may ask, if you were my Dallas Cowboys or my dad-in-law's New England Pats in the draft, who would you get in the first round? I don't have a ton of my draft stuff done, but I know for the Patriots, there's a lot of talk around them getting wide receiver, whether that be Jamison Williams, who I don't think falls to them, or potentially Burks from Arkansas, which I kind of like for that team. So I don't know. You're more of the NFL guy than I am. Any thoughts on these two teams and their potential draft options in the first round?
I'm more of an NFL guy, but I'm not really a draft guy. So
Uh,
I do know that the Cowboys are in some serious trouble. So they are looking like they might land Traylon Burks potentially as a guy that might slip through the cracks a little bit. New England, they need to replace Cal Van Noy. I do think that they addressed some receiver stuff with the Devontae Parker trade. I am not too sure. Also, Dante Hightower is a free agent, so we don't even know if he's going to come back. So we'll see. But I do think Devin Lloyd makes some sense for them, linebacking core for New England.
yeah, if Devin Lloyd falls to them, man. Devin Lloyd's like,
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I don't know.
maybe New England trades up.
Johannes Perez saying chatter of Cowboys using Lamb or Parsons to. There's no way they're trading away either one of those guys on draft day. They're not gonna. And also, both of those guys would get them like the first pick overall. Like that's how talented both Lamb and Parsons are. I don't think they use either of them in the trade
I
to
would love
move
that
up.
from a NFL standpoint. If that
That'd be
happened, Cowboys are a joke.
That'd be such a huge mistake for them. It would be just absolutely tremendously bad. So I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens there. But let's talk about the MLB because that's what's coming up next year. Washington Nationals owners debating potentially selling the franchise. They bought the franchise back in 2009, and I don't know. This is an interesting sell. I was watching a lot of that Washington game yesterday, and they were just dogging on the Nats, just saying like, yeah, you have Steven Strasburg, who's been going to be out for a long time. The only guy in the pitching staff that you had back from when you won the World Series in 2019 was Corbin. The only guy in the lineup that you still have is. I don't remember who exactly it was that was still in the lineup, but you basically this
Soto?
Nationals team was Soto. Yeah, Soto was in the lineup. So yeah, it was Soto and someone else, I think. Um, it was they were just dogging on him and just saying like this isn't the same team, obviously, going through a little bit of a rebuilding process. What do you think about this? You think
Whatever.
they should sell the team? I feel like that's a little drastic.
Stop your whining. Stop your whining. They won a World Series, man. Like
I
I'm not talking like I'm not mad at you, but like
Yeah,
why? Why? There's no reason. Like if you wanted to sell, you should have sold the year after you won the World Series.
yeah. No, I agree with you on that for sure. Um, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'd be very curious to see who buys it. It's
I
sure to
will
be like
say,
a group, but
yeah, I will say if you have a Washington franchise, probably that one that you want to have because
yeah,
like everything else is a dumpster fire.
yeah.
So
It certainly
the
is.
Wizards, no. And I mean, like maybe the Capitals are probably your best bet, which I think is, actually the real winner. But the Commanders are they got some other stuff going. We never talked about the Commanders potentially skimming money from the away teams over the
Yes,
past couple of seasons.
yeah, I saw that. That was it's yeah, Commanders are in a boatload of shit right now. So you're right. You're probably Nationals are probably one of the best teams to have if you are taking a team in Washington. This is an interesting story, and I saw this last night throughout the Discord. But we had two identical twins end up getting the save and the loss in a same game. So this was the Giants game. You had the Padres Rogers get the save, and the Rodgers on the Giants get the loss. And I
Yep.
that's not the first time that has happened that I'm going to be blown away because there's no way that that has happened in MLB history.
I don't. I actually have no idea. I just saw that news like earlier this morning, and I didn't even know it happened last night. So
No.
yeah, it's wild, and the fact that even two twins are even in the league at the same time is impressive.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We're a pro Brett Phillips show here, and are the A's really as bad as we thought? A's end up having a monstrous performance yesterday against the Rays. Ended up putting up a ton of runs, and you kind of saw the writing on the wall as soon as Luis Patino went down. Went down with the same injury that he's been dealing with all throughout spring training, and then that bullpen came in, and that bullpen does not look like last year's bullpen. Doesn't look like a typical Rays bullpen. It looks like they're going to be struggling throughout some of this year. So I don't know. Are the A's really as bad as we thought? I still think so, but they're definitely trying to prove us wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Blackburn looked like an absolute ace out there last night. So
Oof.
one of the highest scoring pitchers on FanDuel. I think he had over 40 FanDuel points yesterday, which is saying a lot. That's everything you need to know about how last night went. So,
Yeah.
uh, when Brett Phillips is in to pitch for your team and making a highlight play, then that's the highlight of the entire game. You know how bad the game went.
You do indeed. While the Rays might not be as bad as we thought, the Brewers might not be as good as we thought. Get shut out against the Orioles yesterday, 2-0. I know you're kind of trying to stay away from Brewers questions, but they're going to turn this around, right? Like, please, like, tell me that your Brewers will turn this around, please.
Yeah, I don't have many things to say positively right now, other than that they get a. We just got off of our other podcast, and they get a nice spot against the Baltimore pitching staff today again. So eventually things got to get right. So who knows? But cold streaks are a real thing, especially at the start of the season. But if your whole team goes cold, the Brewers tend to do this a lot. Like it's not even just that one guy or two guys get cold; the entire team gets cold at the same time, and that's exactly what happened. And so we'll see. They turned it. Everybody around here in my neighborhood. I live like 2 blocks away from the stadium, so everyone here is excited for Thursday. It's specifically their first game of the season at home. The zip code here is 414, or the area code is 414 on all the phone numbers, and April 14th, 414 day. That's Milwaukee's day. So maybe they'll turn it around specifically on opening day, but we'll see if they do it beforehand. Today's slate.
Yeah, hopefully they do it today for us because I like that a little bit more. More injuries that we've seen. We've kind of been talking about this. The shortened spring training has led to all these injuries that we have seen. But yesterday it led to Anibal Sanchez getting injured early in the day. Taiwan Walker got injured on the mound. Luis Patino got injured yesterday, and Danny Jansen. All injuries that happened yesterday. It was a bad day for injuries for sure. So what are your thoughts on all these injuries, man? Are we going to continue to see this?
I think we will. I think that's going to be. I mean, the just kind of weird how it's been. Not even just that. Like pitchers are getting hurt before they're even supposed to start. That's
Yeah.
that's where the concern is here for me more, whether it be in warmups or like hours leading up to game time. We saw that with Anibal Sanchez yesterday. It's going to be tough to see that. And like what the Pirates lost 3 or 4 guys in one game, and 2 or 3 of them were pitchers. We're
Mm.
just going to see that just because of the lack of. And you can say that they conditioned themselves all off season, but this is totally different when they're actually starting to play games.
Yeah, cute lamb. Oh, cute lum too. I mean, I don't know how to say it. Whatever. First time chat from a viewer. Thank you very much for hanging out. He said, "Any thoughts on the 405 slate?" I would say, come hang out with us on our Twitter Spaces that we do every day for early only. We kind of talk about the slate and give our thoughts on it. And so, if you want some thoughts on that 405 slate, I think we go live at 3:35 for that. So you can come hang out with us on Twitter while we do that. All right. Did the Guardians stumble on a diamond in the rough, Jared? Because Quan saved the day for us in early only yesterday. Big triple that ended up getting two RBIs for him. That was absolutely huge for Quan. He's been on base successfully 14 out of the last 15 plate appearances, and like you said, it's going to be what he hasn't missed on a swinging pit or swinging. He hasn't had a swinging strike yet.
He has not swung and missed on a pitch yet this season.
Insane. Insane. Yeah, by the way, Cute Lim, the Twitter ad is Roto Radar. Easy, simple, same as this channel. And Biggie Boy or B Big Boy 427 says free on Twitter. It is free on Twitter, completely free. It's absolutely awesome, and we've been having a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, Quan has been insane, man. Is this truly a diamond in the rough, or is this the guy that is this just a flash in the pan right now?
I mean, he's arguably, I don't even think arguably anymore. He is the hottest hitter of the coming out for the last 5 days. But again, he could easily just go, 1 for 25 over the course of the next several games. So
You know,
I don't know. I'm not going to say anything yet, but I do think that they have something here. That's for sure. The fact that he's hitting in the top three, one just tells you how bad this Guardians team is on paper, but two, they potentially have something here, and it's certainly helping Jose Ramirez. That's for sure. Like it's
no.
definitely like Jose Ramirez just signed this massive contract, and it's nice to have somebody other than Miles Straw kind of like setting the table for you.
Yep, I would tend to agree with that for sure. All right, Alec Ball is in a little bit of hot water this morning after visually yelling, "I effing hate this place" on the broadcast. This was after a few errors happened, and specifically when this happened, I don't know if you got to see this. It was after he actually made a routine play, and sarcastically, the crowd was cheering him on afterwards. And that is when he said, "I effing hate this place." And it made me laugh because like we had this conversation from Joel Embiid earlier on. I think it was last week, where he was like, "Philly players always get judged more than anywhere else." I feel like your fan base kind of makes you deserve it sometimes because that Philly fan base is just awful. First of all, poor Alec Baum, because I saw all the errors he made yesterday. I watched a lot of that Mets game, and a lot of just like I don't know what he was thinking with a lot of those plays. But like I don't know. What's your thoughts on Alec Bohm? This is like one of their best prospects. This is one of their best young players
Yep.
on the Phillies, outside of Bryson Stott. So like this is a guy who I don't know. This is a tough spot for him to say something like that, and I'm sure he's gonna continue to get a lot of heat for it.
Yeah, there are two types of athletes: ones that can handle Philly and others that can't. So we'll see which one he is soon.
Well, I think we're kind of already seeing which one he is, just based off of that quote. And saying that during a game in front of, like, this is it's not a nationally broadcast game, but it's a game that's getting broadcast. So, and you have to be the focus of attention if you are making all those errors. It's just a lapse in judgment. But after all of this, credit to him because he could have said a lot of things in the post game presser. He could have made a lot of excuses. He could have said that he said something else, but he just owned up to it. He was like, "Yeah, I said it. It was a mistake. I was obviously heated, and it was in the moment, and I'm sorry." But that's a true. I like seeing that out of a ball player. I like seeing that honesty, and in a spot where you would see a lot of people lie. It's good to see him being truthful and him just owning up to it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we'll see. I Philly fans are brutal, even in baseball.
Yeah,
So
they are.
I don't know how they're gonna take that, but they might embrace him.
I don't think so, but I respect him at the very least. I respect it for sure. All right, let's move on into the dog days of spring. Jared, it might feel like spring where you are, but it doesn't feel like spring where I am. But we're still going to talk about our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. They are the sponsor of this show. They're the people who keep the lights on over here, and we greatly appreciate them. And what we do every day is we get a simple 3x play from the dog from Underdog Fantasy, and we have some fun with it. So, Jared, we have some more options today. Not only do we have MLB, we also have some NBA picks. So we can kind of do whatever we want here. What are you looking towards?
Yeah, we do. And I have a couple of juicy NBA options that I want to discuss with you before we okay, so here's my hot take. I think that LaMelo Ball potentially might have a bummer of a game tonight because I know the matchup's great, but we don't know what he was going to do in the bright lights. And so far, he's been great underneath all of that. But I give me the over of 3.5 turnovers here in a must-win game for LaMelo Ball.
Lamelo's tomorrow, so I like it for tomorrow's pick. Do we still
Okay.
want to have a pick for
Well, just put
tomorrow?
it on the board, and we'll keep it for today too.
Okay, we'll
Uh,
keep it for today too. I like it.
I do have another one. It's
Okay.
Darius Garland. Darius Garland, 25.5 points, hit the over.
Yeah, I can get behind that. That's definitely solid. Give me. I'll take one since you took two. We'll get this to a 6x instead. Give me Paul George. We're going to go to the rivals category instead of the over under category. It's Paul George versus Anthony Edwards in points,
Oh,
rebounds, and assists, and it's
not close.
Paul George minus 9.5. I think it's a lot to say minus nine and
Oh
a
wow.
half, but I still think he covers it. I think that he's going to be a stud in this game. I don't think playoff P sets it until he's a little bit tired towards the end of the year, and he has no reason to be tired. He's been off for half the year. So I think Paul George is the pick I'm going to take, and I think he gets the dub here or gets us the win here in that statistical category. All right, Jared, let's get out of here. Any final thoughts?
My favorite play of the slate is not on Underdog Fantasy, so you can start to narrow down your MLB plays. But Josh and I had a really good podcast this morning,
Yeah.
and we can't wait to talk about that with you later this afternoon for RotoRadar MLB members. Again, the Twitter space for the early only slate is going to go live at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time. We'll get you the link here, but it is going to be from the Twitter handle at RotoRadar. So just keep an eye out for that on your spaces when you're searching. We'll have that link updated here shortly. A little bit of a weird congested slate, like 3 things are all within a 2-hour time frame, but we're gonna get it done. We're prepared for it, and we can't wait to get all that content out to you guys today.
That's 3:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that Twitter Spaces, correct? Slate
I'll
starts at
double check that.
4:10. Yeah, I'm 90% sure it's 3:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that early only Twitter Spaces. Slate starts at
Yep,
4:10.
3:40 uh, Central Time. Sorry,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Eastern.
yeah,
We'll get it
East.
figured out.
Yeah, we'll get it figure out. Yeah, Cut Lamb says 4:10. We'll be live at 3:40, like Jared said, Eastern time, to cover that slate with you guys. And then we have the member only podcast at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then we have 30 Lock back here, all the way at 6:35. So we will see you guys then. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.